A federal charge, but he is not, we're told by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago, in federal custody tonight. But people here at Dalton Village Hall say they haven't seen him either since word of that indictment dropped just a few hours ago.
Top aide to a controversial South suburban politician has been fired as federal investigators focus in on his boss.
WGN Investigates has confirmed Tiffany Henyard, senior advisor in Thornton Township, is out of a job.
The U.S. Attorney accuses Freeman of concealing assets and incomes from his creditors.
Numerous senior Dalton and South suburban officials are dealing with an influx of lawsuits and investigations. Keith Freeman is charged by federal prosecutors with making fraudulent claims in his bankruptcy case. When Tiffany Henyard first gained support from a large number of people, it appears that everyone is now against her. Recruiting new lackey to cover the positions, but it's difficult to give them any credence when all of her former workers are coming forward to expose her unethical behavior. Among them is Keith Freeman. Therefore, how did he change from being Tiffany's ally to revealing everything to the FBI? Numerous senior Dalton and South suburban officials are dealing with an influx of lawsuits and investigations. Keith Freeman is charged by federal prosecutors with making fraudulent claims in his bankruptcy case. When Tiffany Henyard first gained support from a large number of people, it appears that everyone is now against her. Recruiting new lackey to cover the positions, but it's difficult to give them any credence when all of her former workers are coming forward to expose her unethical behavior. Among them is Keith Freeman. Therefore, how did he change from being Tiffany's ally to revealing everything to the FBI?
Keith Freeman, he's been in and out of trouble since he was a young person. He was charged for theft in 2000. He was charged with a felony in Iowa when he turned 27. This was back in 2005. Theft in the second degree. Oh, Keith is a busybody. He has a long rap sheet. He never cleared up his charges because back in 2011, he was in Palm Beach, Florida, where they extradited him back to Iowa. They said out-of-state fugitive. Fugitive from refugitive from justice. That's your boy, Keith Freeman. Because we all know Tiffany Henyard made a big fuss about not giving background checks. And this is one of the reasons why she did want to give a background check. Because anybody that works for municipal department or the city can have felonies. And I'm pretty sure they can't have that.
Keith F. federal bankruptcy fraud accusations were brought against village administrator Dalton, Illinois, who was indicted on the charges. Include the fabrication of his assets and income in a bankruptcy petition he filed earlier this year.
A high-ranking administrator for both Dalton and Thornton Township is charged with fraud connected to an alleged bankruptcy scheme.
The village also completed negotiations with the police patrol, police lieutenants, and the sergeants.
Right here you see Keith Freeman, who sits next to embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, discussing finances at a recent village board meeting. The U.S. Attorney accuses Freeman of concealing assets and incomes from his creditors. He faces up to 5 years in prison if convicted. We reached out to Freeman and various Dalton officials, but have not yet heard back.
On January 3, 2024, Freeman, who also holds the position of municipality manager for Thornton Township, was charged with materially underreporting his income in his bankruptcy filing. In his files, he declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court located in Chicago, despite the fact that his total income was far less than what it actually was.
Not so expensive apartment. You're collecting money from the village of Dalton, and you're also collecting money from Thornton Township. So you're making about $150,000 a year. I'm pretty sure it's more. He's saying that he only works for Thornton Township. Your income, Thornton Township, municipality manager, gross income $5,800. Now, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but from the payroll expenses of Village of Dalton payroll, Keith is on here. This was just in October. Keith Freeman, $3,800 every 2 weeks. And he claims that he only makes $5,800 from Thornton Township, employer's name, Thornton Township. Reason why he's trying to get away with it is because Keith is a 1099 employee. He's not paying no taxes off his income. No Social Security taxes, no medical taxes, no benefit tax.
The municipality of Robbins, where Freeman served as village administrator from 2017 to 2021, made a significant claim against him that he neglected to disclose. The village claimed that Freeman collected around $9,396, more than he was permitted to during that time. His tenure to exacerbate the situation, Freeman is accused of fabricating a copy of his 2022 income tax return to the Chapter 7 trustee, further misrepresenting his financial circumstances. Freeman did not file a tax return for that year, but he sent documents that showed a significantly lower income than he actually got.
Long coming. If a person can lie on their own financials, what do you think they're doing for the village? Nobody is untouchable. That's what I want to say. Nobody is untouchable. So if this is just the first domino to all of them falling, let it happen.
Ooh, Jay Bradley, how you feeling?
Freeman is a key player in our reporting on Tiffany Henyard because of how many roles he plays for her. In addition to the Dalton and Township jobs, Freeman also, for a time, was the registered agent of the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation.
But there's no foundation in the state of Illinois moving like we moving and shaking and grooving like we doing. Right?
That's right.
While Henyard's namesake charity claims to help cancer patients, WGN Investigates has reported it received most of its early money from taxpayers and has failed to file required paperwork showing how it spends its money.
How come you don't respond to my emails?
There you go. There you go. Huh? There you go. That's all you're getting from me. That's all you're getting from me today.
How come the charity hasn't filed its financial disclosures about how money was spent?
The indictment also describes an incident that occurred on January 30, 2024, during which Freeman spoke under oath at a conference of creditors, falsely declaring that he was not employed by. Dalton had not been paid by the village. These deceptive claims were a part of the plot to hide his actual financial situation from the court and his creditors.
This indictment on one count of bankruptcy fraud says Freeman falsely stated he only worked for the Township and made just over $99,000 last year. Prosecutors say he tried to hide his Dalton earnings via a pass-through company, which brought his income to $195,000 last year. They further allege the village of Robbins has a claim against Freeman for more than $90,000 he took without authorization from a previous post he held as village administrator there.
He might have spent up to 5 years in federal prison if found guilty of bankruptcy fraud. Federal representatives, such as the temporary United States Attorney for the Northern. The severity of the allegations has been underlined by the District of Illinois and special agents from the FBI and IRS. Dalton, though, is incredibly eager for him to leave.
There was a lot of controversy on whether or not he was an employee or if he was contracted. Now they're saying that he didn't list this information.
And if he can't handle his own business, how in the world can he handle ours?
The troubled Mayor Tiffany Henyard, long-standing locals, and Freeman have been strong allies. The federal fraud allegation against Dalton Administrator Keith Freeman, according to the dissatisfied leaders of the organization, is a relief.
We've been waiting for some justice to be served.
At the next board meeting, if he show up, I'll ask him to step down again because he's an embarrassment to this community.
To the allegations, Freeman entered a not guilty plea and was free with sealed restrictions on a $5,000 unsecured bond.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman, pleaded not guilty to federal bankruptcy charges today, as he is also named in another lawsuit against the village and its embattled mayor.
Keith Freeman, the senior administrator for Dalton and Thornton Township, entered a not guilty plea to bankruptcy fraud. Lawyer chatting with media following the arraignment.
I think that many practitioners in this building would be surprised to see this level of attention and press paid to a bankruptcy indictment. We've had a couple of questions directed to me about whether or not this indictment means that the government is effectively trying to squeeze Mr. Freeman into cooperation. And I think that question is a question better put to the government. And the record will show overall that Mr. Freeman for many, many years has been a trusted public.
In exchange for a settlement with the bankruptcy trustee after the federal indictment, Freeman willingly waived the discharge of his debts in his bankruptcy case, meaning that he will still be accountable for the obligations stated in his bankruptcy filing notwithstanding his plea, resulting from Freeman's legal action. Issues have been serious not only for him, but also for the administrations of Dalton and Thornton Township, a Dalton property owner who claims he was wrongfully refused a business license to sue Freeman and Mayor Heard, and Freeman only made his federal court appearance the day before.
When Keith Freeman told me that he's going to give me all the permits and put me in a position where I start working on my property, about time when I met with him again, he told me, "Who are you? And do I know you?"
Tyrone Isom attempted to use this space to first start a barbershop and subsequently a pigmentation workshop, but he claims the project was blocked by Henyard, according to the building inspector.
She said initially, Tiffany Henyard did not want nobody to get these properties because she wanted the land. So that was right there in a nutshell.
It is a mess down there, and you have a mayor who believes that she owns every piece of property in that town and can control everything that happens in that town.
Our request for a statement on the lawsuit was not answered by a spokesman for Henyard, but last month, Henyard once more claimed that she is the target of detractors who want to destroy the first black female. The mayor of Dalton, the controversy surrounding both of their terms of office has been exacerbated by his close relationship with Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, who is also being questioned about her leadership.
Good evening. There were many tense moments in tonight's meeting. At times, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard took on her fellow trustees when it came to money and expenses, even accusing some of them of spreading lies about her.
Please tell me how you're out of order. You're out of order. How do they operate, trustees? How do they operate?
There were countless interactions just like this, elevated voices and heated debates about spending and the lack of a new budget. Several of the trustees questioned much of the township's spending, while Henyard says she's cleaned its finances up.
Y'all thought that I was young, dumb, didn't know nothing, was gonna let y'all come and manipulate me. I didn't do any of that. So because I didn't do any of that, you guys started this whole smear campaign.
At one point in this 3-hour meeting, Supervisor Henyard demanded Finance Director Robert Hunt read through more than 100 line items that many trustees wanted to get rid of. For example, thousands of dollars to Amazon,
$169.99.
thousands of dollars of cakes for community events,
102 Calumet Bakery,
and tens of thousands of dollars that were allegedly allocated for the one-day event, the Taste of Thornton Township.
We just had a couple events here in the past month or so that just extraordinary amount of money was spent unnecessarily.
As for upcoming events, the trustees voted to stop a few, including House Fest and Gospel Fest. Henyard accused the trustees of acting out of spite.
And right now, you guys are operating with hatred in your hearts. You're operating out of feelings. You're not operating with things that's going on, and I don't think that's fair to us. And I don't understand why it's a problem when we got a surplus in Thornton Township thanks to Supervisor
Keith Freeman, Tiffany Henyard's top aide, was stacked by the troubled politician from the South suburban area due to mounting legal issues and federal investigation. Freeman, who was the village of Thornton Township's senior advisor for Henyard. An administrator in Dalton was fired from his job in Thornton Township due to misbehavior and multiple absences from work, according to the HR department of the township.
WGN Investigates has learned township administrators loyal to Henyard began demanding answers about Freeman's whereabouts during the workday. Records show he claimed to be on family medical leave but didn't fill out an application. And on July 9th, HR sent Freeman this letter firing him. It reads in part, "Due to the high-ranking position that you hold at the township, this type of misconduct cannot be tolerated. Your misconduct is a detriment to the smooth functioning of the township's operations."
We are public servants and not self-servants.
Freeman's departure comes as Henyard is facing a challenge for mayor and control. On Sunday, a slate of trustees who've called out her use of tax money for self-promotion, questionable contracts, a big security detail, travel, and her namesake cancer charity announced they're seeking to dethrone Henyard in next year's election.
We have been steadfast in our efforts
to stop the gross mismanagement and abuse of power that people have seen in the village today.
Freeman was fired at a moment when there was widespread conjecture that he was under pressure from federal prosecutors to assist with their continuing investigation of the Henyard administration. One of Freeman's current legal troubles is an indictment for this federal accusation of bankruptcy fraud, in which he is accused of making false claims to conceal his assets and income, has further complicated his circumstances and raised questions about whether he would cooperate with investigators.
Some saw as a play to push him to cooperate with the FBI's investigation into Henyard. Back then, trustees said they hoped it was the beginning of the end of Henyard's reign.
Well, that's what I want to say. Nobody is untouchable. So if this is just the first domino to all of them falling, let it happen.
But Henyard allowed Freeman to keep both jobs until...
In addition to serving as mayor of the city of Hamilton, Henyard has come under heavy criticism for her financial management and leadership. Allegations of extravagant use of public funds for private travel and reprisal against staff members who voiced their disagreements with her.
As a reporter, I know there are a million ways a politician could have answered that question.
Because remember, I got the tea with the receipts. Matter of fact, if you want the tea, get it from me.
Rather than responding to questions from reporters, Henyard makes videos pouncing on her opponents.
Larry the liar, stop it. You caught, poop, be gone, you caught.
And promising answers, but never quite explaining her spending, leadership style, and transparency. And that's evidence of the role personality plays in this story.
You the ones that's costing the village money. Okay. I don't have that call. All right. Okay.
What was she supposed to do? You wanted her to expound? Don't drag out the meeting. I made this nonsense.
You see, Tiffany Henyard does not like to be challenged. She demonstrates this at almost every village board meeting when opposition trustees ask her for more information about village vendors and bills before they'll agree to sign off.
But I shouldn't have to sit up here and break.
A controversial vacation to Las Vegas that cost taxpayers thousands of dollars was one prominent example. Dollars after this visit, a citizen of Dothan publicly chastised Henyard, labeling her the worst mayor in American history.
Tonight in South Suburban Dalton, residents got the chance to address the controversy surrounding embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Complaints include sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination, and a controversial trip to Las Vegas last May. NBC5's Regina Waldrop was at tonight's meeting in Dalton.
A concerned community seeking answers.
I know you're going to ask for an investigation. I'm hoping that means the administration will have nothing to do.
Tiffany Henyard was not present at this special Dalton Village Board meeting. She and an unnamed village trustee are the subject of an Illinois Department of Human Rights investigation. The investigation centers on what purportedly transpired during an economic development trip to Las Vegas in May of last year. Heard's former assistant filed a complaint alleging that she was sexually assaulted by an unnamed Dalton trustee during that trip. We are not naming the woman because NBC5 does not identify people who may have attacks given his close relationship to Henyard and his role in her administration. Freeman's sacking was viewed as a significant step. Although he is still employed in Dalton, his departure from Thornton Township signaled a clear attempt to dissociate Henyard from the issues involving Freeman. The ongoing inquiry into the Howard's administration is made more problematic by Freeman's legal issues and rumors concerning his assistance with federal officials.
Also tonight, more drama in Dalton. Credit card transactions amounting to thousands of dollars without explanation and millions more owed to vendors.
A bombshell report highlights just how much financial trouble the village of Dalton is really in. Our Casey Cronus is live tonight with details. Casey.
Don and Scott, community members' jaws dropped during tonight's presentation. The report was put together by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired by village trustees in April as an independent investigator. They sought her out to get to the bottom of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's alleged misuse of village funds. Of the revelations made tonight, we are learning that as of May 31st of this year, the village's general fund fund, which is used to pay the majority of village expenses, is $3.65 million in deficit.
As Tiffany Henyard navigates these volatile circumstances, her political future appears increasingly dubious due to many lawsuits and federal scrutiny. When will Henyard ultimately give in to the music? Residents endure considerably worse hardships. That's it for now. Let's wait and watch. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below for further information. Press the bell icon.